So Lightfall now has been out for 2 months, and I would say now is a great time to look into it as a whole and just judge the experience because of everything already being released instead of having to wait for it. So, I'd say, without further ado, let's dive into it. So I guess one of the best things to talk about for an opening argument would be what has happened with Strand as the subclass, is how there was a bunch of stupid things Bungie was going to do, being locking half the subclass behind the raid after it came out. But as of now, they have adjusted that and made it earlier before then, which, well, overall, like, if we're talking like damage type and subclass, it's pretty good on most, but I feel like we would have to get a deeper dive into every other subclass to get a true understanding of what can make it useful. So, guess no further ado, we should begin with that. So, guess what the subclasses of this game, we should talk about more in detail about each of the three. So, guess it's the most important, talk about the one I have the most experience with, being Berserker Titan. And well, I gotta say, it has actually taken me by surprise, because of the fact that it has been such a good ad clear one, along with how the super works. So, I mean, with Drenger's Lash and the exotic that it came with on Lightfall's launch, and how it has been pairing well Shackle Grenades, you can practically get a whole room just up and suspended without much minimal effort put inside. So, I guess there's that, so you can have as much damage resistance as you can, with as long as you can. And with the release of Grandmasters, the subclass has developed a major role inside the one that has been current this week, being Proving Grounds. And I mean, honestly, it has been really easy to just scroll through, just suspending everything and keeping it up in the air. Rolex Strand feels like it's having an identity problem because it is trying to balance one of two things. Either an excess of hatchlings, as how one of the things is literally if you cast your Rift, you send a bunch of hatchlings, and also trying to be a grenade-focused subclass, as how if you use your other aspect where you consume your grenade, it will cause alternate effects, as with consuming your shackle, you get a bunch of suspending rounds, and if you consume your hatchling grenade, you double the amount of hatchlings you spawn instead of just narrowly throwing it. But even then, what is the point of running it when there is much better alternatives instead of it just being a fun gimmick and how much damage the super can do? Which, if that was the case, then I'm pretty sure everyone would be running Nova Bombs, but even then, you see a bunch more for overall damage with fucking, Starfire Protocol and Sunbracers as of late. I really don't know what to say about Hunter Strand, because you can get Woven Mail like Titan Strand, but you don't get as much, and you can only use your grenades not as much because of your aspect where you only gain 2 rather than the abilities to just gain more effects from them. Well, minus your ability to reload, but that is a complete niche where you can use it on stuff like rockets, but even then, you're better off just running another subclass for damage. So I guess that's really what it is has utility, but what's the point when other subclasses are as powerful as they are? Oh dear God, what do we talk about with the campaign? Mine is that it's rushed all over the place and feels like a complete joke. So I guess we should probably get into more of a detail about it. So I guess let's just talk about it. So I guess we should probably talk about the campaign itself. So mission 1, let's start out with what it was. So we go on a search for Osiris because of the fact that he has gone missing, and we believe he's inside this Cabal ship, where we also get introduced to a new enemy type called the Shadow Legion, where it's basically just Cabal, but with very minor differences, being the fact that they have little overshields, and also a new friend of ours, being the Tormentors. While I admit the Tormentors are fun to fight, we also got to remember that this is in comparison to the Hive Guardians, which were a much bigger fight and also more of a spectacle. And then later we start go into some rooms, kill the Tormentor, use drop pods, and ends up inside of Neomuna, where we find, well, our first encounter with Strand. And then after a little bit, we get a pre-rendered cutscene of the two of the main characters for this campaign, being Nimbus and Rohan. Basically kill, I think, 4 Cabal. and then just like get Osiris out, and Osiris is bitching at them, telling them that, oh, we need to go to the Veil, we can't do anything but without the Veil. So ultimately, I'd say, opening mission wise, I would say this is better than Beyond Light, but I'd also say that it was not as in Shadowkeep. But I mean, if we talk to the other campaigns though, like Forsaken and Witch Queen, they do not compare. Like, they just floor Lightfall's opening. So ultimately, I'd say probably like I said, 6 out of 10, because it's not good, but it's also not as bad as others. So mission 2, where we help the 2 Cloud Striders protect something that they've dubbed the Cloud Ark, which, to put as the game said, is where the entirety of Neomuna has uploaded their conscious into it, which is a bit confusing to say at first, as how, is the Matrix not real in this universe? Because I'm pretty sure if it was, this would not have entered, or show why Metaverse is a bad idea, but don't you wait, we will get back to this. Trust me. So let's just get through the slog first. So we find like 4 captains, get keycards to hack them, but it's just kind of normal Destiny campaign mission stuff. Just walk through, kill stuff, get somewhere, like use Sparrow, get somewhere else. Then just pretty average, like mediocre stuff. Kill ads. Then we get another cutscene where it's like the Whitney is coming through, like our ghost saying to Cal's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's like. And now we realize that there's probably no going back, but I'd just say probably a 4 out of 10 being generous. If not, I'd probably bump it down to a 3. Like I said, it's just a mediocre mission. It's not really good, but it's not bad either. Mission 3, so it's where we start out like going into somewhere, trying to find Callus's base, which is really hard to find, trust me. It totally doesn't have like a giant statue of him on the front of it in Neomuna. But story-wise, we gotta talk about the fact that it was invading something called the Radial Mast, where it's basically another plot device. And even then we go in, try to destroy it, get told no, and then also have Callus' daughter, Keitel, show up and be like, "Ayo, Guardian, you're not dying today." And then we kind of just race out there, which is, like I said, it's not good, but it's also, like I said, it's pretty average. But ultimately, I just say like maybe a 5, like overall, because like I said, the mission was fun to play, but it really doesn't offer much, minus introducing the raid. Oh, this mission. This mission. So let's just start, and then I'll tell what I think goes wrong. So we start on the other side of Neomuna, Lingming Harbor, where we are tasked with stopping the Vex from practically killing the entire population of Neomuna, because as I mentioned in the mission 2, they have uploaded their conscious into a cloud network, because of course, why wouldn't you decide, hey, a great defense mechanism is upload your basically functioning brain into a power fucking outlet, and even then, if it falls off, like, slight tech network error, or, it gets, a little power outage because of a little too much voltage, I mean, what the fuck is there to say? It's so stupid of an idea. Like, the Cloud Ark should not even be a thing. Like, has no one in this universe know about the Matrix? Like, if that movie was real, I'm pretty sure this would not be a good idea. Because think about it. You have basically the entire population upload their soul, basically, into a device, separating their bodies and stuck in cryostasis. And still, this is the most dumb, stupid, and overall idiotic thing that has happened here. Like, seriously, why? And even then, that doesn't even get even weirder what happens later. Let's just continue what we were talking about. So let's just carry on where we invade into a thing, start going through the power outage, deal with the greatest fucking advancement in all of Destiny in the 8 years that it's been around, being a destructible environment. Because seriously, 8 years and they finally can add it. And then go through doors, kill a Hydra, and then realize the entire power grid is laced with explosives from the Shadow Legion. Yes, the entire power grid, which, do I have to remind you, is linked to the entire population of Neomuna, is rigged to blow up. So, basically, this entire mission was pointless. We could have just had a little cutscene saying, hey, the entire population should be fucking dead. I tell you this. Because it makes 0 sense on how they're still alive. Because you gotta remember, they said the Cloud Arc is basically everyone's conscious inside of one thing. So, they rigged this entire area up with explosives. Which, well, and that is not even the worst. Like I said, up the blow, and at the end of the mission, it all blows up behind you. Meaning, the entire population should be fucking dead. Like, seriously. There should be nothing left of Neomuna. Like, there should be no patrol missions because no one can give them. And yet, also, this is the fucking worst mission in the entire campaign because of this one little detail. The entire I know I'm rephrasing this again, but I should not have to rephrase it. The entire population of this planet should be dead. Like, why would they ever think this is a good idea in a story sense? Why? I just need to ask. And even then, that's probably the worst of the campaign, story-wise. But ultimately, gameplay-wise, it was pretty fun. I'd say a 7 of gameplay. But story, it doesn't even get a fucking point. Because that one little detail of, hey, the entire population of Neomuna, minus Nimbus and Rohan, should be dead. Be dead. Okay, after that, I think we probably should start with something a little more forgettable, where we really just get like some area class striders are supposed to hone in their skills and stuff, where it's really just a elaborate Tangle tutorial, and I will be honest, I kind of forgot it initially when writing this script, so that really should say what it is. So I'm just going to give it a loaf 2 and just call it a day. So I guess after that forgettable mess, we should probably talk about the next mission. Being how we go into Neomuna to stop the connection with the radial mast and figure out that, well, it was almost there. So we just break in using a tank, just go through, figure out how we can destroy some stuff suppressing everything, and then just deal with the Tormentor, have just the most based entrance ever, just slam headfirst into a wall, and then also trying to use Strand to break the radial mast because Rohan was holding it for us, and then realize that we just basically have a caffeine crash, and Rohan's like, you know what, death time, and just sacrifices himself to destroy it. So, you know, character we don't know much about is now dead. Or the character we couldn't have much time to care for is also dead. So, really ain't got much to say, but gameplay, it was decently fun, so I'd probably just say 6 for story and gameplay together. Anyone else feel like we're just in deja vu right now? Like, I mean, we got a forgettable mission that is focused on mastering Strand, and it kind of goes in the same area. So, ultimately, are we starting a time loop, or am I thinking of something? Because I swear we've been here before. It feels very familiar. It feels like we've done this exactly 2 missions ago, maybe. So I guess we'll give it the same rating because they feel oh so familiar, being a 2 out of 10. Oh, this final mission. What is there to say that people have not been already? I mean, I guess... Oh, this final mission. What is there to say that people have not been already? I mean, I guess there's something to say. So let's just talk about it individually. Being, well, opening is actually really enjoyable. Like, just breaking into the area, like, going through, like, grappling on ships and everything, like, and then fighting the Tormentor. That is all really well set out. Especially on Legend from the Weekly Campaign area. And other parts as well, how it used the environmental storytelling. The side of the veil is absolutely beautiful, even though we still have no clue what the fuck it is. But ultimately, there's, like, two main... And even then, the final stand as well part with Keitel as well is wonderful as well. It's just everything leading up to the end of the mission is so good. But then they decide to not just drop the ball, but just fucking remove it. Because seriously, how do you go from this well-crafted mission to the end where the boss is put in a seasonal arena? Like, it's really that hard. Gal's just got the fucking shaft. Like, how do you go from there? And even then, that's not the worst part. The worst part, at least to me, is the end cutscene, where we have Nimbus literally sliding in, cracking jokes, is how, even though Keitel literally shows up, and the first thing she sees is her father fucking dead. It was like, hey, haha, like, Nimbus is literally sitting here cracking jokes at someone's now deceased father. Like, what? Why? Why do they have to ruin this mission? I would have probably given this a 10 if it weren't for the Callus fight and Nimbus. Everything else just sucks. Like, that's all I can say. It's not good. Like, the ending just drops the ball on this mission. So I feel like I have to give it an 8. Like, it's the highest scoring thing in this entire segment. But the fact that it could have been better, literally if they did not really have Nimbus in it, or realized the tone of everything, and then redid the Callus fight to be so much greater, it could have been so good. But yet, they dropped it. So all I could say is an 8 out of 10. I guess after the whole replay, I could say that there has been some enjoyment in missions, but ultimately, it's just more of like how depressing it's all become. Like, I literally forgot a third of the missions existed, and even then, I did a 50-hour live stream beforehand, so I guess it was all a clog to me, like, it was all foggy. So, I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was, but it's just so much missed potential. Like, gameplay-wise, it's fun to play through, but story-wise, after the Witch Queen, like, it's just such a massive drop in quality. Like, what happened? Like, we get from the masterpiece of the Witch Queen and the Samathun fight to gotta protect the Veil because the Veil and that seasonal boss fight that Callus had. Like, there's nothing else I could say. Like, I literally said the missions were forgettable. Like, you know, honestly, if I had to give a overall problems, I'd probably just say there was too many things trying to be slammed into an 8-mission story. Being the Vex Incursion, Neomuna as a location, you also have Witness and Callus, and Strand. That is 4 stories all in one setting. You cannot have that many and try to make it make sense in such a short time run. You have to cut some of it off. I would have said you could have moved the Vex Incursion to post-campaign, have more Witness and Callus, and have Strand end really early in the campaign just so we can toy with it. And then it would have been so much better. And even then, Nimbus and Rohan overstaying their welcome, especially Nimbus. And it's just, you don't have much time to develop these characters. Like, you have all these resources, and yet it feels like they didn't even use many of them just to make something do. Like, just some they'll just make by, and people eat it up anyways. Even then, like, you have all this, and yet you don't make anything. Like, you have this expansive lore, like, You could have explained so much with what happened, and yet nothing. Like, it's just... How do I even say it? Like I said, it's just pretty average. So, like I said, I'd probably just say like a 6 or a 7. Like, it's just sad because it's not what we wanted. Like, and ultimately, it has me a little worried for Final Shape as a whole because, well, if this is what they brew up and think it's good for release, then I just hope they don't fuck up Final Shape. Also, I kind of completely forgot that I need to add this being just the new strike. It's decent. Like, it's a little long, but still, it's kind of just like what we expect at this point. Like, Light Blaze, stuff like that. So I guess, and also the fact that's really just a little like, teaser thing for, hey, Root of Nightmares and the boss is Nezarec. Ooh! So I guess after plugging it, the fact that Nezarec is the boss of the raid, I guess we should probably talk about it. So Root of Nightmares, a raid that has literally been soloed. So you know what? It's pretty up there on the easy scale, but there's still so much more that has been soloed. Do we have to mention Atheon, Oryx, and D1, fucking Crota, which is the most iconic, and now Nezarec. But I feel like the problem with that is the fact that Nezarec does not have enough health. If they gave him more health, he would be more difficult and bring the difficulty back to the game like they said with the blog post, which is feeling more like a joke. But even then, I really can't complain that much as how I still loved what the memories were from the raid. In that 16-hour stream and trying to do contests in 2 separate runs. But on a lighter note from those 2 major negative things, I wanted to talk about the thing I loved the most, being the complete subclass verb, champion stunts. Finally! We have waited so long for this to make sense. With finally all the reworks out in every subclass until Final Shape, we have so many ways to just deal with champions minus the artifact mod, which is fucking amazing. You do have no idea how great of a change this is until you actually play it. Because seriously, you just need at minimum a chill clip fusion, and that's it. Or you could try to get a consistent thing and get void spam on fucking warlocks. Then you have unlimited anti-bear, anti-champion. Because with all 3 of your kit, chill clip fusion for overloads and unstoppables, and then you're going to constantly have volatile rounds with void spam, so you might as well carry a fucking anti-barrier. But even then, this has its flaw, being the fact that the build crafting has gotten so simple, where it's really just pick up or power, get thing, get big buff. Is that simple? And even then. But something that is hard to try to implement is the accommodation system, because there's a few things we gotta remember. There is no negative accommodation, so you can't truly get a grasp of what the player's like. That could also easily be abused, but still, the fact that the accommodation score itself is a thing, all it really does is say, hey, this is how many people I've played with. That's really it, because it's really forgettable and really doesn't do much, but I guess we'll just have to wait for the LFG Finder on Season 23 to truly shine and show us what we're missing here. But even then, without any negative ideas for a rating, all it really does is just be a game tracker. So really, I'd say overall, Lightfall has been one of the most divisive expansions in the fandom. Because I'd say this is fun as shit, but at the same time, the ways to get to the fun shit is boring. Like, Strand is hella fun, but the campaign is so damn bad that I'm pretty sure Food Fight makes more sense than this campaign. And that, if you know food fight, is a challenge. And what's quality of life was amazing. When it's done is great, like, for the player experience. But overall, I just can't say anything good half the time because of what they did. Simplification of armor, kind of making it a bit weaker. There was the massive step down from the storytelling, because how could you compare Season of the Risen, Season of the Seraph story, to this season? It's a joke, basically. And then we also have Witch Queen's story to Lightfall's, Forsaken's to Lightfall's, are completely terrible. And even then, I would rather, if I was going to go through a story again, go through the D1 story rather than this. Because with D1, at least it made sense. Instead of also 20 million threats inside of the campaign. But that does still have me worried for Final Shape. But I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to be waiting for it. Because if they got this much time to cook, then I'm expecting the Worlds. But with all that out of the way, thanks so much for watching. Like, it means so much more than people would like to say it does, because, well, it's the fact that it's actually, potentially could get somewhere with it. And, well, just thanks for giving this whole thing a shot. So, there's that. And if you want to see more, I guess, is I'm planning on getting something out next month as well. And in the meantime, I do stream on Twitch, which we are so close to affiliate anyways, so if you want to come down, you can. And if you, that'll be in the description along with the server we have set up. So I guess with that, I just thanks for the watching, and until we meet again. Also, post-editing Cal, I realized I forgot to say this, but at 5 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be self-flawlessing every dungeon. So if you want to show up there, Twitch link's in the description.